Hi everyone, I am back yet again to do hopefully what is going to be the very final part of our Mother Goose Altered Book Junk Journal. I have been through and counted up. This is part 12 of the series, and I did the earlier part of doing tags and things this morning whilst my daughter was at play school. I'm going to attempt now to kind of complete it now she's home. So she is being bribed with playing with the tablet with her games on there. So hopefully we're going to be able to kind of get through the rest of the journal and it will be complete. So I'm going to pop it to one side. So if you followed along kind of to the last episode, obviously we kind of made a series of tags and things to pop into the journal. So I have just been through and counted up how many remaining kind of places we've got for tags and what have you, and there were about 10 spaces left. So when we finished the last video, we talked about the fact that the journal is very chunky. So obviously, bearing that in mind, I don't want to kind of make anything too big and too chunky. So therefore, going to kind of try and keep things pretty thin and slimline, she says. Famous last words. Let's see if I can actually manage that. So I have brought along a kind of selection of items, or, that we're going to kind of work with. So let's do the first couple of things first. Is I've got these literally just some coffee dyed cardstock that I have stamped on to kind of prepare them to make some tags. So I'm just going to move these things out of the way. Now, normally I would kind of maybe add some paper or something like that, but having said that, obviously, sometimes it's nicer to have a slightly thinner tag, obviously for just these types of scenarios where your journal's getting pretty chunky and you just need some slimmer things. So, I do make these tags and use these types of tags. So, we'll just kind of make a few of those. So just to speed up the video, I have pre-stamped these so that I'm not, taking up endless amounts of your time. So let's get cracking with embellishing them. So basically stamped them, and I'm going to cut corners to make them into tag shapes. Like that. And I might well upload these videos both on the same day, because obviously it's just a continuation of making the tags. I'm not sure yet. It depends really how much time there is, because actually the uploading process itself is very tedious, I find. And sometimes kind of you leave it and you think it's happily uploading, and then when you come back it's just sat there with an error saying it couldn't finish uploading. So, best laid plans and all that, sometimes it just doesn't work out, unfortunately. So anyway, let's, stop waffling on about reasons why it might not work. So in amongst all these tags, sorry, I had actually kind of left all the embellishment pieces. So let me just bring those back to use. So obviously the theme of the journal, we have been using these beautiful flowers. So I have been hoarding them and hanging on to them, not wanting to use the last ones. So it's time to bite the bullet and use them, I think. So I'm going to cut them around so they go kind of slightly further. So like this. Now hopefully this video is not going to be a really lengthy one. The one I did this morning I think ended up being about an hour and 10 minutes. So I mean, hopefully I'm going to get through this one a bit quicker. We don't have the same amount to do, so it should be a quicker process. So not that I'm not enjoying it, but I'm just concerned that viewers are it's taking up a lot of their time and maybe a bit boring for them. So we've got a kind of selection of flowers that we can choose from for our tags. In fact, while I'm at it, I will just cut the corners so that I'm kind of ready to go on all of the tags, is the theory. And again, this is just a technique that I saw somebody else do, where you just cut the corner and then you take it across to the other corner so that they end up identical. So if I use these flowers, what I might do is actually cut off these kind of quite insipid leaves. I haven't really done that for the rest of the journal, but obviously on a tag you're kind of limited on the amount of space that you have for the flowers, so I'll just kind of trim them down, you know, to save it taking up so much space really on the tag. So if I just kind of place those around, you know, again just playing about really and seeing where they maybe look good. And obviously I had also been hoarding the remaining teacups, which they must also now still be in this pile up here. So let me bring the teacups back. Sorry, I think my hand is now right in front of the camera, which, how annoying to be watching that. You see, no matter how organised you try and be, I just think the second you come onto the camera, everything goes to pot, and particularly if you're not really at your usual workspace, because actually, you know, things aren't where you normally would have them. I mean, not that my workspace is super organised, but it's that kind of organised chaos, you know, that to anybody else would look shockingly unorganised, but to me, I kind of have a vague idea where most things are. You know, but being at somebody else's desk completely, it does kind of throw you completely as to where things have been put. So I would just have to actually stand up now rather than keep reaching my arm straight in front of the lens of the camera, which is not very exciting to watch. Right, no, I can't find the one with the 3 teacups piled up, which is very annoying because I will want that at some point. Let's hope it turns up in the process of doing this video. So I'm just checking that it's not under there. You know, a bit like when you do those, hide the thing under the cups and move the cups around. I thought maybe it was hidden under a tag, if we've been playing that game, but no, it wasn't. That's pretty annoying. And we're only about 3 minutes into the video. Right, okay. Let's just crack on regardless. So hopefully I will eventually locate those teacups, and if I don't, then when I do, I can just add them to something, you know, off camera. I'm sure you won't mind and feel kind of cheated if you just miss the gluing of one set of teacups. Oh, they're here. They were here all along, literally all along. Right, okay. Please ignore my scatty kind of behaviour. They were obviously, you know, my eyes are kind of fixed on the tags and not on the edge of the desk, which I don't even know if the edge of the desk is in frame to you guys or not. But it wasn't in my eye line, so... Right, so now we just need to kind of work out how to have these items kind of on these tags. So we've got, you know, we've got a few things here. So I just want to kind of, in fact, I'm sorry for being so scatty, I'm going to bring down a couple of the other things because I want to kind of make sure that we actually have got enough for all the items that I want to kind of use and stick things on. So I have got this paper item which I would quite like to pop something onto, so I'm going to put that there. And I've also got this little acetate kind of booklet which I quite like. I would like ideally to be able to use something, but I mean, if we can't, then it's not the end of the world. I thought this was quite good because, again, it's super flimsy and kind of folds to literally nothing. So very, very thin in the journal. not going to kind of, you know, be too bulky on the page, which obviously is what we're looking to kind of avoid really. So, you know, that's the plan so far. Now I've got this tag, which again, I've just had this in my stash for the longest time. A bit, again, been hoarding it. I don't know why, but I just do. So I'm going to just distress ink around the edge of that. Unfortunately, I didn't coffee dye this or anything, but you know, it's fine. It looks good enough being distress inked up. And then I will just distress ink the back as well, just so it's looking kind of nice and vintage on both sides. And again, obviously the beauty of using this is because it is thin, so it's not going to bulk the pages out too much. So you know, just, you know, distressing that all around like that. Okay, I'm going to distress ink this little circle piece. I hope all these items are actually in frame. Again, the iPad's quite tight to where I am, but I think things are in frame. So I'm just going to kind of roughly place things on all the items that I want them to go on. I've got this little label or ticket that I've just stamped myself. I'd quite like to have that here ideally. And I would like to have a sprig of flowers hopefully on that particular tag. So I'll just ink these ones up as well. Just so that we've, you know, we're using up all of the flowers that we've kind of got here. Don't want to miss any. Well, sometimes you kind of, you know, think, oh, I'm going to use everything, and then literally I sell it and post it off, and then discover, you know, just one random thing from a, you know, from a set or something that then is kind of useless on its own, which is a bit annoying and obviously disappointing because it could have been used in the item I've just kind of sold. So I mean, that's quite nice like that. And then on this one, you maybe have kind of a teacup or something. Also got this little sprig of leaves. If I ink them up, my hands are really covered in ink now. They were quite bad this morning, but they obviously are even worse now. Okay. So I mean, we could even have kind of the leaves and the teapot. Or is that a bit strange? Maybe that's a bit strange. Could have that there. Now I wonder whether we could actually maximise this by cutting these off. Let me see. You see, the other thing that I thought that we could use is just this, literally it's a crossword piece, and it's just actually on the, I think, the watercolour paper. So again, very flimsy, not going to bulk the journal out at all. So I did wonder about using that because obviously, you know, that's going to keep the bulk to a minimum. So if I just put that here as well, just kind of grouping all the items that I potentially am going to be popping onto places. So if I just kind of, you know, maybe that would be better kind of on that tag. Maybe that there. And then if I just ink up this. Could have that there. And then we could just have a little pink flower or something, just to kind of bring some pink into this now, because I feel it's a little bit lacking pink. That's quite sweet, isn't it? So, and that's not bulky now at all, so I quite like that. Now these teacups, I've obviously hoarded these and not wanted to use them, and actually I'm now kind of thinking they looked better earlier when I held them on a couple of other things. So just before I kind of go with them on that tag, just going to kind of see if they would look better maybe on one of these invoices. What do you think? You see, I'm just so frightened to use them and then regret it and wish that I'd saved them for something else. Got another little sprig of these, which again I can obviously use these somewhere. That look better on there. Maybe the teacup, no, that's lost on there, isn't it? Maybe that there. Just playing around again, and you know, probably again that's quite nice. I quite like that, in which case we could have the flowers there on that tag. I kind of prefer that, like that. Now the only tag to me that really looks not quite how I want it to look is probably this one here, because there's no pink on that at all. So just kind of could have that somehow like that. That's quite nice. You know, so it's not a flower per se, but it's got some decorative detail. That's quite nice. And then obviously I've got some butterflies and things, so we can always kind of, you know, embellish further once we've kind of decided to use some of these little bits and pieces, really. So I'm kind of wondering about that. Got a little postage stamp, and I've got the word inspired. So, you know, we can just kind of further embellish things, really. Kind of like that. And then I just have this one sprig of flowers left to use, which maybe them on here looks quite nice. So we just literally ink them up so they're really nice and vintage looking, to be in keeping with the rest of the journal. Like that. Okay, I like all of that now. So I'm going to get gluing now. Really don't want to kind of overthink this particular part of the process. So, because I feel like, you know, this is now probably turned into, you know, the series from hell for people actually watching. You know, oh gosh, she's even dragged the tags out over 2 videos. So it was not, you know, intentional, I can assure you. So I'm just wiping my glue just with some tissue there. So I'm going to use this as the kind of tab for this tag. So let's just do this first, because that's nice and easy. And then we can move this one out the way. So pop that on there. Okay, oh gosh, I'm parting with this little stack of teacups. What is wrong with me? I don't know, honestly, why. Oh gosh, now my glue's clogged up. Why I get so attached to things. I mean, I have obviously watched other videos where other crafters are also equally hoarding things. And it's very strange because, you know, my head kind of is saying it's not a problem because, you know, you can always just reorder, you know, if it's current things. I mean, fair enough, obviously, if it's just a vintage item, a one-off thing, or, you know, something that's no longer, you know, in production. But I mean, this particular die cut pack is just a Kaisercraft pack, and actually, you know, it is kind of still current. I could buy another one. Sorry, I'm clogging my glue. I could buy another one, you know, kind of, there's no need to become so attached and hoard it. But for some reason, I just do. And I don't know why that is. But also, I mean, I don't know about you, I don't very often buy the same item again. No matter how much I've loved it, you know, I don't seem to very often do that. I'm trying to think whether I ever have done that. There probably has been a time when I have done that, but I can't recall doing that. So yeah, I'm not quite sure. You know, it would be sensible, wouldn't it, if I'm very attached to things, to just reorder it. or buy two at the very start, but I don't. Right, I'm going to move this out of the way. That's one down, several to go. So yeah, I don't know why, but maybe that would be the way forward, is kind of order two, and then I can be less attached, kind of, you know. And also psychologically, I will kind of be able to just tell myself, well, you know, you've got lots, no need to hoard them, because, you know, you can even order more if you want to. I don't know whether that would be the answer or not, really, but it's strange behaviour. But I just think, I mean, actually a bit like a paper pack. I don't know about you, but kind of when I did lots of scrapbooking, I would use kind of, you know, if it was a paper pack that, say, had 3 sheets of each design, if there was a design paper that I absolutely loved, I would happily use the first 2, and then I just couldn't bring myself to use the third one. And so, you know, I've got lots of paper that I literally just have one paper now left, you know, of each design or several of the designs. I mean, that's odd, isn't it? What's that about? I don't know. I just don't know. But it is quite nice to know that I'm not alone, because I do hear lots of you kind of say similar things. So, yeah. It's funny, isn't it? And sometimes I order kind of things and then, you know, I'm not as happy as I was with, you know, my previous kind of set. You know, don't like the design so much. So I should have just stuck with what I know I love and, you know, order more than one copy. But no, I don't. So I'm just going to ink around the edges of this. It is coffee dyed, but I will just ink around it just a little bit more, just in 1 or 2 places. I mean, as you can tell, this is paper, so, you know, it is flimsy, but, you know, it's still a really nice kind of pull out. Okay, so the next item here is this little one. Just going to stick this little teacup on. In fact, I've just thought of something that I did have to buy 2 of. And actually, it was only very, very recently I had bought the gorgeous musicality stamps from, I think it was Do Crafts, and I had, you know, wanted those stamps for a really long time, and, you know, finally bought them and treated myself to them, and I was thrilled to bits and absolutely loved them, loved them. And then my favourite one probably of all of them was the corner stamp, which I really, really loved. And I had used it quite a bit, you know, in the short time that I had it. And then I mislaid it. And, you know, I have mislaid things, obviously, in the past. No wonder, is it, when, you know, when you're watching me and I can't locate anything. And I had mislaid it. And literally, try as I might, I just could not find it anywhere. And it was so upsetting, because I had so loved the set that after a few weeks I just thought, oh, I'm gonna have to buy another set. And it was really just for that one corner stamp, because, you know, obviously I still had the other stamps, and, you know, so I ended up having to reorder a whole pack again of those particular stamps, just purely to get that one corner stamp. So that was really irritating, I must say. But I mean, having said that, it is a particularly nice corner stamp. You know, I really do love it. I just wondered whether I had it here to be able to show you. Yeah, it's here. I'm sure you can't really see that. I wonder whether I could stamp it somewhere. Stamp it on this. And I'll stamp it actually in the corner, so that if I do ever use this, I'm just doing it with my distress ink, so not ideal, but I mean, isn't that a lovely corner stamp? And I do have a bit of an obsession about corner stamps. I really love them. So, you know, when I actually lost that, I was devastated. And yeah, try as I might, I just couldn't find it anywhere. So I had to actually give in and order a second set. So I hope to goodness that I don't lose lose that corner stamp again. Right, anyway, enough of that. So I shall now stick on these little sprig of flowers. Right, trying to get the whole sentiment in that I've stamped onto that tag there. Obviously that means that the leaf is now hanging off of the tag, which I don't dislike. I mean, as you can see, the flowers are also hanging off, which actually I do like. The only worry I have is that obviously that's quite fragile and may then tear off. So, you know, I may just actually remove that, because I would kind of rather remove it now than have it kind of, you know, just tear off later. And I mean, that's just my personal view. So I've taken that off, and then it's no longer kind of an issue as to how flimsy it is. And then what I thought we could do is have kind of a label or ticket there. And, you know, we could also have something else there, maybe kind of a ticket or a little butterfly. Got a little pink butterfly. I don't think that's quite right, actually. Could have one of the Martha Stewart butterflies. You know, we could have a flower. In fact, maybe those ones might be better. So I'll just disassemble this. Probably without the green. I sometimes do love them with the green, but in this particular instance I feel it would be actually better without. So I'll just distress ink that flower. And again, more of it all over my hands now. So we could have that there, you know, or we could have the little label kind of off to the side, and I could just trim that off. That might be better. I quite like that. I mean, we've also got these little button embellishments that we could have up there or something. I think kind of either way is pretty nice. So let me just cut this in half. I'm just going to literally stick this on like that. And now I can hear my daughter calling out. I'm just actually now calling my husband, who's supposed to be working from home. So that's just not great. Right. And then we pop the flower just on there, really. Just pop that like that. And then using my crocodile, in fact, or we might prefer to have the fabric, obviously, that we've used on the cover. So let's just check kind of what looks better. Could use that fabric as a tab. Nope. We could have a little bit of lace on here. That might look quite nice. Might just pop a bit of lace on. Could have the lace here, or we could have it over here. I've got a bit of over there. I'm just going to literally stick a line of lace down like that, and then using my crocodile, I will have a ribbon. So put that in there. And then I'll just put a hole protector on there. Like that. And then what I'm going to do is, actually I'll wait for this to dry for a couple of moments, and then we'll rough around the edges and things and just distress it further. So while we're waiting for that to dry, we'll glue on the other tags, and then we'll be able to kind of do them all at once. So you know, because as we're doing one, the other one will be drying, if that makes sense. There we go. Just get my tissue. Like that. And then we could have a butterfly on here somewhere. Love using butterflies, I just think they're so pretty, aren't they? Could have another part of that label, or maybe we could have the label on that one. Let's just pop the butterfly down. And again, we could finish this with you know, a little bit of lace somewhere. We could even have a bit of lace up there. We could have, again, the fabric as the tab. No, not loving that at the moment. We could use this ribbon actually, because we used this several episodes back as a tab for a page. So we could have it like that. So if I just cut, oops, cut it like this. So what we could do is kind of staple it like that, even maybe with a flower. That's quite nice. Or maybe we could use one of these bright, vibrant flowers, which I have a feeling we did use one of these on a page. I actually can't recall now which page it was, but I feel like we have used one of these somewhere. Just cut some of the little bits off of the flower. Again, I hope that I'm in frame doing this. And I don't know what it is about this light, but it really does prevent me from being able to see which side is the right side. So again, let's just hope to goodness that I have done it on the right side of the flower. Not that I guess you'll know once it's stapled down, because you know, no one's really going to know which side's the right side, are they? I mean, could even have a kind of bit of lace in there as well, if we wanted. So look, oh, that's quite pretty, isn't it, with the bit of lace as well. So I'll just cut that off. Move the lace to one side. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just staple that like that. Maybe actually with the lace kind of literally in amongst it. So I'm just going to staple that on. Again, I'm just using my big stapler here just to save time rummaging through my bag. And then I'm going to just glue this flower on, and I'm just going to use the hot glue, just again for speed. So pop that on like that. So I'll pop that to one side to dry as well. And then the final little one, we've got this one here, which we thought looked quite sweet like that. And did we want the postage stamp coming out? I quite like that. Just have a look whether I want anything else on that tag at all. I've got that little postage stamp fabric kind of piece. Oh, it's the same as this, which I hadn't noticed initially. We could have the little fabric bird. Maybe too many birds going on there. Right, so let's glue some of this down. So I might glue that kind of together. And then glue that stamp in a moment. So kind of pop that just roughly where I want it, and then the postage stamp as well. Yeah, that's kind of sweet, isn't it? So I'll just dab that off. Oops. Okay, quite like those. So I'm going to just move those to one side and just literally glue then these flowers onto this invoice. Now I'm thinking this invoice probably for that long envelope. So what I'm going to do is kind of fold it over. It's obviously very slim, so it should be good for that envelope. Now I wonder whether it's too long, so I might just quickly check it before we get carried away with what we're doing with this. Because obviously, God forbid that I would waste those flowers. Right, you see this is quite long and sticking out, so I'm going to have to trim that slightly. So I'm going to trim it at the top and the bottom, like that. And obviously if it's still too long, I will trim it above the text there, so that it fits in properly. Just about fitting, which, you know, that's not kind of necessarily ideal, so I might actually just trim it literally just above that text, because that then, you know, it's a much more comfortable fit then, like that. That's, you know, I'm much happier with that now. So take that out and then literally glue these flowers on just here. Like that. Okay. Now, what we're going to do now is just distress ink around the edge of those tags. And the other thing that I mustn't forget is actually I have got this altar paper clip that we did earlier on in the journal, which I haven't used that anywhere just yet. So we must use that as well, because obviously that's got the coordinating paper and flower on there. So, right, let's just put this here. So what I'm going to do, I'll take the first one that I did, which should be kind of the driest glue-wise, and then just take my scissors and rough it up just around the edges, because, you know, this is quite thin, because obviously, as I said, you know, it's not double layered or anything, but that's what we wanted, was thin. But just by roughing the edges up, or around the edges, it just brings a bit of dimension to it. So it's still thin, but it's now got a bit of, you know, extra dimension on there, which kind of just makes it slightly more interesting, I suppose, to look at. Slightly more of a kind of interesting looking tag, I think. Slightly more of an interesting looking tag, I think. So there we go, and then the last one is this one. Just rough around there. Right, and I will just now distress ink around all of the tags. I mean, it's so strange, but just that little bit of extra dimension from the kind of going around the edges, and then the distress ink, I mean, to me that alters the entire look of that tag and takes it from looking sort of, you know, quite boring to actually something really nice. So, I mean, that's just my opinion, but yeah, just amazing what kind of that little kind of extra bit of kind of effort, what difference that makes, you know. And it's a bit strange, isn't it, because you know, it's almost kind of nerve-wracking, isn't it, when you've created something, to kind of think, oh, do I want to ruin it now by distress inking around the edge? But actually it does generally always look better. I mean, it's a bit like kind of, you know, I don't know if you've ever distressed furniture, but I mean, I love distressed furniture, but it's a bit like that. You know, you've kind of spent all that time. I'm just going to distress ink around the edge of this. You've spent all that time kind of painting a piece of furniture, and it looks, you know, pretty good. And then you're about to, you know, distress it, you know, with a sander or whatever. And you kind of have this moment of, oh gosh, shall I do it? Am I just going to, you know, ruin it? And actually, again, you know, just my opinion, but in my experience, kind of always looks better, instantly looks better once it's distressed. And strangely always looks much more expensive. You know, it makes it look like a much more expensive piece of furniture than when it's just painted, which it then just looks like it could have stepped out from, you know, IKEA or something. Not that there's anything wrong with IKEA, obviously, but, you know, and IKEA really does have its place. I mean, their furniture is excellent value and, you know, amazingly designed, isn't it? But, you know, just sometimes it's nice to have something different. Now, I also brought along a couple of little tags just, you know, from my stash that I just thought we'll try and use some of these as well because, you know, this one, for instance, I just thought, oh, colour-wise, this one's going to go perfectly. And this just hadn't been distress inked, so I'm just going to ink it up. And then, you know, I mean, we don't have to use it, but I just thought we'll try it and see whether it goes anywhere. Right, okay. Let's see now if we can kind of fill the rest of the journal and be done. So we'll bring it back down. So from the bits and bobs that we've done now, obviously we'll pop this piece in because we actually said already this was for here, didn't we? So we'll pop that in there. Love that. And then we've got these ones up here that I put out of the way. So, I mean, we've got this tiny crossword, which, I mean, I just thought ideal for, you know, one of these tuck spots. Maybe not that one because actually it will be in the way of there. But I know that I did do several tuck spots kind of around. Maybe I didn't do that as well. I'm not going to be able to find any. But I've also got this tiny spot down here. So trying to actually think what was tuck spots, that one I'm sure was. So I mean, you know, up there, that just looks nice up there and it's not taking up too much room, it's not being too bulky. Okay, then we've got, obviously now we've got these tags. This one I'm just going to pop some of this pink ribbon on again like we did previously with the pink one that we did earlier. So I might just tie it in a bow. The only thing is that is slightly adding bulk, but I do love bows. They do look so pretty, don't they? So we'll just pop that there. Oops. Like that. Oh, come on. Like that. Right, the kids are coming home from school now, so they're now obviously going to be entertaining my daughter, although often that just results in lots of grizzling, you know, because she wants everything they've got and, you know, everything that they're doing and things like that. So we'll see how that pans out, but let's hope for silence would be good. So struggling to do that bow on here, so that's a bit annoying. So I'm just going to do this up here like that instead, because I don't want to be here all day. So, and you know, I really like them like this anyway. They're a bit like the merchandise tags, you know, that you get kind of on your clothes and things when you buy them. So that's quite nice. Now it's whether or not these are going to actually kind of fit in any of the gaps. So we could have that one there. That's, you know, that's quite nice. So we also have kind of here, which we could pop that one in. That looks quite nice. And then obviously we have these two. So we've got this one here, which we could just slide into that belly band there. Oops. Don't want to kind of disturb that because obviously we've only recently glued that on. So that's quite nice. Or we maybe want slightly less fussy one, in which case we could have this. And this one, I don't even know whether I'm going to put a tab on, because actually I don't dislike it as it is. Although I did bring this chipboard tile along, which looks quite cute, doesn't it? And actually we could even have a piece of lace coming out from there. You see, I just, no matter how much I'm trying not to bulk this out, I can't help myself. Because I just, oh, that looks nice, doesn't it? So I'm just going to cut that. I just, yeah, I think everything always looks better, kind of with more stuff. Right, so I'm just going to glue that on. And again, I'm going to glue that with the hot glue, because obviously, you know, I want it to stick quickly and, you know, timely. So let's just pop a line of glue. Oops, now my glue's run out, but luckily I've got another glue stick. So I was slightly organised today. So we just pop that there. And then literally we're going to pop this on top. So what I'm going to do is run some glue literally kind of on the bottom half, so that we literally just pop that on there like that. I love using these chipboard tiles as tabs for tags. Tabs for tabs. Tabs for tags. That's kind of like a tongue twister, isn't it? I think they always look really, really nice. So we could have that on there. Let's just give it a try, see what it looks like. Yeah, that's quite nice. The only thing is that's overhanging the edge now. So now, I mean, we're just now getting the right tags in the right places. You see what I mean? Because, you know, obviously you don't want anything that's going to get damaged by hanging a bit far from the book or anything. So what we could do is have this acetate kind of booklet in here, or actually Fillion. Could do that. Or decisions. I have bought along these cute, they're like seed packet stamps. We could just have that kind of in there, or kind of stapled on, or we could have this one. Maybe just this skinny one would be kind of better. So I might just leave that like that. That's quite nice. Where else are we wanting tags? So we've obviously got this space and this space. So what we could do, if we just distressing this seed packet up, like that. We could just pop that one in there. That's quite nice. And then this one, if it will fit on here. Try and put that there. Oh, perfect. So we just have that like that. And obviously we've got that paper clip. Now, where else do we have gaps? So we've got this gap down here. So, and obviously we have this piece left to go. So let's just check that we're kind of up to speed. So I just wonder about having that in there. But we're still going to have to fold it, I think. So just going to fold it like this. Oops. So we can pop that one in there behind there. So that looks good. And strangely, because this is actually obviously a touch of kind of blue tinge to it, which obviously I haven't really got any blue in the journal, but actually I quite like it. And obviously it looks really nice with the teacup. So, oh gosh, I hope that I'm in frame. So I quite like it kind of just as a little contrasting piece, just a, you know, just a one-off kind of contrasting piece. So let's see if we've kind of filled the journal up now. So the only places now is this little pocket here. And is that a tuck spot? No. Is that? No. It's very hard to remember, isn't it, what you've done as tuck spots and what you haven't. Did we put something in here? Nope, so we could have something up there. I'm just having a look through the kind of bits and bobs that I actually bought with me that were already made. Another thing that this was in my stash, but I thought this would go really nicely because obviously it's the right colours and it's got a duck on it and being the old Mother Goose. I have got this tag. I wonder if it might be too wide for this envelope. I don't want to damage it. Did I actually do that as a pocket? Let me just have a look. I did. I don't know whether that's too wide to go in there. I think it is. So I might use this tag here, if that will fit. That's better. Because I didn't want to obviously damage that pocket. So we could have that one there. Just checking now. Right, the only other place then is here, which obviously this tag now is, you know, too big for up there. So for up there, we could just use something like one of these acetate frames or kind of this acetate booklet, which actually just slots really neatly in there. Right, so I'm pretty sure that we've filled everything now that could possibly be filled. So the only other thing really is to use this paper clip, which obviously we could just swap this paper clip with this one. Now, is that too long? I'm going to actually get damaged. I think it will. So what we could do, see if did we have another paper clip anywhere else in the journal? I feel like we did. We could paper clip this down because obviously that's kind of flapping, so we could have that. Okay, so this paper clip will pop back on, but actually I might just kind of just tie something at the top or something, so it's not just completely plain. I'm not going to use that actually. I will use this ribbon. Actually, I'm not going to do that either. Sorry, I'm still mucking about now, you see, even though I promised that I would be so super quick. Right, I'm going to use a piece of this fabric. Now I must stop mucking about. And I'm just going to cut it like this. To tear it up here this time so as it is frayed. And then I'm just going to pop it onto the paper clip. Let's make this nice and speedy so as we're not here all day again. And then what I'm going to do is pop on the buttons. That would look quite sweet. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to use the wet glue rather than the hot glue because I feel more comfortable with the wet glue on this fabric. I think the hot glue would kind of mark it. It's fine on lace, but I don't think it would be so good on there. But having said that, I am going to glue the button embellishment on with the hot glue because obviously that's just going on to the hessian. So I should just glue that with that, like that. It looks a little bit like a deck chair, doesn't it? Which is really sweet and actually really fun because this journal is very colourful and yeah, it's nice to have kind of fun elements, isn't it? So that paper clip then will just hold that shut like that. So, well, hey, the journal is completely complete. Completely complete. So, chunky, which I love. So what I'm going to do is do a video of a complete flip through of this journal, you know, kind of as per usual when I'm going to be listing something. And I will announce there when, you know, what time I'm going to be listing it on my shop, what time and what day. Again, as I said earlier, I know that's really presumptuous of me, and I really don't mean to appear, you know, obnoxious, because obviously, you know, it really truly may be that nobody actually wants this journal, and, you know, I might even have to relist it, in which case, you know, I'll eat my words completely, and yeah, obviously kind of be hanging my head in humble kind of embarrassment. So, you know, but just on the off chance that anybody who's been following along with the series kind of thinks, oh, I might fancy that journal, then obviously keep, what's the word, tuned in to my channel, you know, because obviously I'll do a flip through of the complete journal, and obviously then at that point I will announce when it's going to go on to my shop. So I hope that's okay. I hope I'm not being really rude when I say that. And yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed this process. I have absolutely loved it. And I really do absolutely love this journal. So yeah, thank you very much for crafting along with me, and hope you had loads of fun. I certainly did. So thank you very much. And thanks for sticking with it. Thanks a lot, and speak to you soon. Bye.